Hello out there, and welcome to today's Search Engine Journal webinar. Hope you're having a great day, and we're thrilled to have you here with us. I am joined by Matt Sauls of Manta, and we're going to talk to you about 10 things every SEO strategy needs to succeed. Whether you haven't started yet or are just getting started, or whether you're seasoned and just looking for some tips, this is the place for you to be today. So my name is Heather Campbell. I'll be your moderator today. If you find any of the tidbits and learnings from today very cool, you'd like to share those on social media, please use hashtag SEJ webinars to get that out there to your guests. All right, so let's meet our guest. Matt, excited to have you here with us. Tell us a little bit about you and Manta.
Awesome. Thanks, Heather. Happy to be here today. So, my name, like I said, my name is Matthew Salzel. I'm the VP of Sales over here at Manta. Been in sales for basically my entire life. I like to joke that I've been selling since I was selling lemonade in front of our house, as well as whatever awful drawings I could come up with to my grandparents as an easy way to get some money. But yeah, been in sales my whole life, been in professional sales 10 plus years, specifically in the advertising and marketing fields, about 8 years now. And yeah, seen a lot of success and love all things online marketing in general, and really just all things sales as well. Now, and Manta, a little bit of background on us over here. Manta is an online marketing agency, and our mission is to empower small businesses to achieve success online. It can be a very tricky field for small, medium-sized businesses that are just getting up and running, or for even more well-established small, medium-sized businesses that have evolved over the years. And as people move more and more online, that's what we're here to help for. We're here to help those small businesses achieve success in the confusing online world that has so many different aspects to it. And just a couple of facts here, or a couple of stats here around our successes. I mean, each month we track over 2.3 million keywords across our clients. We have 86,000 plus keywords for clients that are on that first page, on the first page of Google. And on average, our clients that are just starting out will reach the first page for their keywords within the first 6 months with us. And then that's really where it starts to get good. But that's for another conversation. So Heather, I'll kick it back over to you, and go from there.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. All right. Well, you're definitely in good hands with people who love to talk digital marketing, search marketing, and all things marketing. I know I fall into that boat as well. So just real quick for all of our attendees out there, if you experience any technical difficulties, please use the chat box to let us know. There are separate tabs for questions and chat, so take a second to get familiar with those. They're in the top right of your screen. You can also upvote questions. If you see something that you like, the more thumbs up that we see on it, the more likely that we are to ask it, because we know it's important to you all out there. And so at the end of the presentation, we will do a Q&A. So we will get to as many of those questions as we can. There's also closed captioning, and it's just that little CC up in the right corner. So if you need that, click that on. And we will do our best to link to any tools or resources in the chat. But if we miss one, just ask that. I use that questions box to ask. So resources will also be included in your recap email. After the webinar, we ask if you've got a minute, you stick around for a short survey. It really helps us gauge what works for you and how we can make SEJ webinars more useful. And almost lastly, you will receive the full recording of today's webinar later. So check your inbox from that. And actually, I think that is my last thing. So with that, Matt, it's all yours. I'll be back at the Q&A.
Love it. Thanks so much. Okay, so today, like we mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be talking about 10 things every SEO company needs to succeed. Now, this will be a high level approach, and not really focusing in on any one aspect, more of an all-encompassing kind of high level approach, things you need to consider when you're putting together your SEO strategy, your SEO campaign, and really any online marketing strategy in general to make sure that you see success. So Before we get into that, though, I want to start this off with a poll question. Who in here has done SEO, tried SEO? I want to get a better feel for what your experience is with SEO. Is it something that you've done for your businesses or for your own websites in the past?
And so just to add real quick, that poll should pop up for you. If it doesn't, you can find it under the polls tab next to the Q&A. But yeah, Matt, so far we've got over 121 responses and 89% of them are saying yes, they've done SEO.
Oh yeah, that updated quick.
It did.
Now, like, we've got 2 responses so far, but you're right. We're coming up on 200 responses now, and 90% have done some sort of SEO. So that's awesome. Some of this will be a high level, will kind of be a review for you guys. And if you have questions at the end, though, we should have some time at the end of this to go a little bit more in detail, answer more specific questions as they come up. And at the end, there will be some contact information if there's anything you want to discuss more in depth. So the 10 things that we'll be going over today are why SEO, knowing your audience, goals, your website intent, keywords, local presence, website, content, backlinking strategy, and then business reviews. So before you can start any type of SEO campaign strategy, you really need to understand the why behind SEO. Why is it important? Why should I do it? It's speaking with small business owners over the years. It's one of the first questions that I'm always asked is why should I be doing this? And some of the main reasons are organic searches and the local maps listings, the map pack, really make up the majority of clicks on Google. And SEO is what, in the most dumbed down, simple way possible, you can look at SEO as the work that gets your business to rank at the top of the search engines. And the reason it's important to be on top is 99% of people never scroll beyond the top 10 results. It's just not something people do. We're getting less and less patient. We want an answer as quickly as possible. And so whatever pops up first, whatever's on that first page, that's typically where people are going to go. And funny enough, 75% of the time, they never even leave the first 3 rankings. They just click on one of the top 3 organic results. They'll skip down through the ads, go to those top 3 organic results. And when asking business owners why, it's a question that I always have our teams here ask. It's a question that I always ask, is for you to think about how you do your own searches. When you are doing a search, do you click on especially a non-branded search, do you click on the Google ads, or do you click on, go down, skip over the ads, the sponsored listings, down to the organic results? And 8 out of every 10 people will tell me that they skip over the ads because they know that those companies paid to be there at the top, and they know that the companies down below have earned those spots. And that is with 81% of people doing some sort of online search before buying, and now probably over 6 billion searches taking place every day. It's never been more important to having a solid online. It's never been more important to have a solid online presence. For the last 4 years now, luckily we have moved past this part. My wife was in medical school and she was living in a different state, so we did a lot of travel back and forth on the weekends. And so I like to explain it this way: is that the other thing, in addition to generating more business, SEO really just helps prevent any type of leaky marketing funnels, because so many people are searching online. So like I said, if my wife called me let's say 2 a.m. one morning, does a search, calls me, lets me know, hey, our basement bathroom is flooding here. I'm not going to remember off the top of my head all of the billboards I've driven by the last the last 10 years that I've lived here. I'm probably not going to remember the funny little like jingles that you would hear on the radio, or ads that you've heard in between podcasts maybe listening to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my phone right here, and I'm going to do a search for emergency plumber, and whoever shows up at the top, that's who I'm going to go to. But if you're doing other types of marketing, if you're doing traditional marketing, billboards, radio, TV, and you're doing ads, you're doing banner ads, any type of paid media, if I've seen you around in the past, I'm that much more likely to click on your result when you do show up. So SEO never been more important than it is now in this time. So now that you know that SEO is important, what do you do? Well, you need to understand your audience. You need to know a little bit about who you're marketing to. This will determine all of the factors that follow and where you do some of these things that we'll get into. So a few steps we've put together here are: create your buyer persona. Essentially, put together who your ideal client is, what their profile is, and what their motivations are, their pain points, how they get information, and how they're trying to get information to their clients. Understand how your product or service that you're offering will benefit them, and why does it benefit them? What's your value proposition? So what is your benefit? What does your business do that nobody else can do? And when a lot of industries are so similar, it's what is that 5%, 10% that you do differently that can separate you from everyone else that's in your field. Once you on that, dive into there's a lot of good data. There's a ton of information out there now, more than ever. You can, once you know who your client is, do research into what they've done. Take a look at Google Analytics information, what websites are out there, what your current website traffic is, competitors' website traffic is, and who are the most popular demographics that are reaching these sites. Then learn your competition, understand what they're doing, look at those who are being the most successful, and that will give you a better understanding of, okay, they're here. It'll kind of give you the baseline bar of where they're at if you're starting out brand new, and where to go, and how much work will need to get put in. And if where you want to be and your expectations are in line, and being able to set real expectations on what timelines you can expect. Because SEO is not something that happens overnight. SEO is something that takes time. Okay. Sorry, I was just checking. I was getting caught up on some of the chats here, and I saw no sound. For a moment, I thought my audio was out. So glad to see it's all working well. And then the last thing, though, once you know your audience, you know what they're targeting. Are you targeting a local or a national geographical location? This will determine the competitiveness. They'll determine the amount of work, a number of things later on in the process that you'll need to do. And it's a funny thing that I always think about when someone's understanding their competition. Having worked in this industry for so long, I always come across two types of clients. And this really shows why it is also important to understand what your competition's doing. Is that you look at, you'll get kind of two responses when you're looking at companies that are ranking better than you. You'll get the response of really almost envy, and yes, that is where I want to be. I need to get to where they're at. They're the top dog in my industry, and they're who I want to be. And then you'll get the response where you're looking at these, you offer a better service, you offer a better solution, your 5, 10, 15% that separates you is amazing. And it almost eats you up inside that business is going to your competition rather than to you, because you know that they'll be happier with you. So learning what they're doing well, and not just from a online marketing landscape. And then the national and local side of it is We'll get more into that later on in the presentation on some of the differentiators there between the two and how to approach them. So you know your audience. You understand why SEO is important. You know your audience. It's time to set some goals right here. So what are your business goals? Where do you want to be right? Where do you wish you were right now? And then what are you going to do? Where do you want to be in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years? Put together a step-by-step plan with real benchmarkers of where you want to be from a business standpoint as well as an SEO standpoint. I want to do X amount of work within the first month, X amount of work within the first 6 months. Outlining your business goals is not only going to help you know what you're working towards and gauge your success, but doing this beforehand will also help you determine what your SEO budget should be and what your campaign should look like, because it'll help you determine what types of work, how much work, and know where you need to start as far as your expectations are going. So you've set these goals. Now you're getting into what I would consider the actual work that takes place to make sure that your site's running successfully. And that is really the intent of your site. What is the messaging of your website? Have a very clear-cut messaging of what it is you offer to the client and what value it is that you offer to the client. In order for your SEO campaign to succeed, you absolutely need to clarify the purpose of your website so that people come, they know exactly what they're looking for, and you can create a nice smooth funnel throughout the site so that they're not coming and just leaving instantly. Whether your goal is to educate, sell a product or a service, book appointments to set up for like a demo, just generate more traffic and exposure. These are all things that you really want to have clear expectations of what you're trying to do so that the messaging and the intent of your website also shows through there. And that really is all determined by make sure you have relevant keywords. Are your keywords, this is what anyone searches in or does whenever anyone types a search in the search engine, this is what they're doing. This has really evolved over my time in the space. It's kind of gone back and forth. The search engines weren't necessarily like Google has gotten very smart over the years with all of their algorithm changes, all of their algorithm updates. And when I first started using Google, I thought I could just type in any question like it was a person, and my results were all over the place. It was almost never actually what I wanted. So I got in the habit of just doing searches. Like, say I wanted to buy a new car, do a search, type in the car, and that's like buy car, buy, model, make, and that's what would pop up. Now, over the last few years, what has really gotten great is Google's gotten so good at their technology has gotten so great at answering these types of questions that you can, whether you want to be short and sweet and type in, well, just for something here, like I want Gatorade, buy Gatorade Zero, or if I want to do a little more research and I'm looking at this, I buy sports drink, or why is a sports drink good for me and where can I buy it? You can search either way, and you're going to be provided with the results that you're looking for. It is amazing how you can now hit search, and almost exactly what you were thinking of with the amount of context and information you're looking for, will be one of the very first results. So make sure you understand how your clients will be searching for the services that you're offering. Clients are rarely going to search for a product or service the exact same way that you will, because you're the expert in the industry. You're going to search one way. You may know a technical term for something. If but don't assume that your potential clients are experts in your field. How would they search? So not only do your own research as far as where traffic is making it to competitors, there's a ton of tools that you can use online to find this information in addition to just general analytics information. But ask around, ask other people who are not in your industry how they would search for your service. That's how you're going to get really the best results. So is there intent, navigational, informational, research, or transactional? Make sure you're covering everything across the board, both as simple as possible and the longer tailed keyword versions that people may be searching for. Now, a little bit more into back into local presence, because local and national SEO, they have a lot of similarities, but there are some differences. I mean, so many of the searches now from a local standpoint, and I love this slide because it really demonstrates that not only has local search growth increased, it has increased dramatically since 2020. And there were some global changes that happened with it. With the pandemic that really opened small business owners' eyes and everyone's eyes that, online marketing is incredibly important, but it's also here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's becoming more and more important as we go. So, I mean, over 100% increase for searches for just home delivery, not leaving the house. 200% increase in mobile searches that include the keywords where to buy as well as near me. If I'm ever in a city that I don't know, and a lot of times even when I've been in the same city that I lived for years and years, I'll still just do a search, and for the service that I'm looking for, type near me right next to it, and then kind of decide from there where I want to go, do a little bit more research there. But I thought that was a really crazy stat, that a 200% increase in where to buy and near me mobile searches. I think that's pretty awesome, and really where all of you have experience with SEO on varying levels are clearly here for a reason, because you understand how important that is. Global searches for curbside pickup and for in stock have also increased by 70%. And what's open near me has also changed. So if you are a local brick and mortar store and you have a storefront, keep these things in mind when you're about the importance for your business. Another thing that has changed since 2020 is just the hours that businesses work in. So that having this open near me, like, think outside the box on how you want to rank, how you're going to cater to these potential searchers and potential clients. So when we say local presence, when we say local optimization, really what we're talking about here is the map pack. This is, if you're on Google, you do a Google search, it's right there, and you have your map listings. What is important to be taken into account here is your citations, your GMB profile, your review management, the proximity to you that also plays a part. If I am in where we are located in Utah and I am trying to rank for a service that is in New York, you're going to have a real difficult and actually impossible time having your actual local map pin listing show up for anyone doing a search in New York. Google's gotten very smart about catering not just the best solution, but also convenient solution. So make sure it's accurate. Make sure you're catering towards your local potential customers. They really look at, are you on all of your business directories? Are the citations? Does your information match across the board? All of these things. And I invite everyone to go more in depth in looking at each one of those factors. It's something that we're happy to help you with, as well as there are a number of other companies that do help with like just the local optimization piece. So if you haven't, the best starting point is just create your Google My Business profile, start doing some of these local business citations, and then make sure that you have the integration set up on your website as well, and that your website is showing up in the map pack with the I've seen circumstances where someone has not added their actual URL or their site to their Google My Business profile, and they are so when you look at them, there's no the website is button and clickable is not there. So you want to make sure that that's taken care of, and you also want to make sure that you have the local listing on your or your physical location on your website. So if someone does come to your site, they're interested, they have a place to click. So kudos to everyone who has all of this set up. And I invite everyone to just continue to monitor it. It's something that is always evolving, and you want to just stay on top of it. So your local listings are taken care of. Now we're to the aspect where both national and local will be greatly affected. So your website. I mean, having first things first, having a website that is, I like to think of it this way. If you have a website, it does not matter how amazing it is, and from a look, feel standpoint. You can have amazing image, custom photos. You're not using any of the stock photos. You're not doing any of that. You went out, you hired a photographer, you took amazing pictures. You offer an amazing service. You have case studies from all of your personal referrals over the years. You put all this on your brand new website, and then you put it online, and all of a sudden you realize no one's finding you from your website. And the reason for that is if you do all of that without first cleaning up and making sure the technical SEO aspects of your website are taken care of, you might as well be setting up your brick and mortar location in the middle of the jungle, and then you're kind of just crossing your fingers and hoping that someone happens to stumble upon you. I'm not saying no one's ever going to find your site, but it's going to be pretty rare that someone stumbles across your site if you don't have these things taken care of. So this will go out in an email after, as far as what some of just the high level points that are important with your technical SEO. These are like your titles, metas, making sure all of the interlinking between the site is also taken care of. Now, not just having a good looking desktop and being optimized for desktops, you want to make sure that you're mobily optimized. We talked about some numbers earlier where mobile searches have skyrocketed in the past 2 years, and nearly 73% of internet users will access the internet solely via mobile devices. They're as fast as ever. They're only getting faster. Screens are only getting bigger, so it's easier to access from a mobile phone. There's countless times, even just throughout the day, where I think of something, have a question, want to look up the price or make an order, and I do a quick search. So you want to make sure that not only your desktop is optimized, but you have your mobile site and your mobile optimization is just as good as your desktop. This is especially important if you're local, because of those near me searches, those buy now near me searches, no one's carrying around their desktop or their MacBook while they're at the bus stop and doing searches that way. These are quick searches from their phone. These are quick searches while they're in a store and they're doing a search for something else. And so you need to make sure you're taking care of both from a desktop standpoint as well as your mobile optimization. Okay, let's jump into the content here. One moment. There we go. All right. So your site's in the other aspect is you've taken care of all the technical SEO, and you have a terrible looking website with some poor content on it, you're probably still not going to rank because of how important content is these days. But there was a time when you would see some of the worst sites ranking very well because their technical SEO and everything that was happening off of their site would be on the first page. And you don't want that either. Just like you don't want to be an amazing storefront in the middle of the desert where no one can find you, you also don't want to be a unappealing, rundown kind of shed in the middle, surrounded by amazing storefronts in a busy area. You're going to get less business that way. You're going to get less walk-ins, and just like you'd get less walk-ins in that scenario, you will get people aren't going to stay on your site. They're going to go to your site. They're going to see it's not what they're looking for. They're going to leave immediately. So Google has gotten really good at identifying what content is the best. What content is answering and even speaking almost the same tone that the searches that are being done to find them. So make sure that your site is appealing. Also make sure that you are taking real time when you're writing articles, writing blogs on your site, explaining the products and service that you have on your site. Make sure all that you are taking the time. You're giving direct answers to actual questions that people are having. Clean video and image carousels. Making sure you have easy to access tools and widgets to take them everywhere they could need to go, and then having a clean cut product and service offering on the site. So it is a very smooth funnel from when that client makes it to your site and then when they purchase or set up an appointment or book a demo, whatever the intent of the site is. Make sure it's neat and clean, and content is still king across the board. It's still the most important thing. Now, make it interesting, clean layout, make sure it's engaging, make sure it's going to keep people on, even more so than your product for new customers. Making sure that the content that they're seeing when they first arrive to the site, that's what's going to keep them. That's what's going to make the biggest difference in your click-through rates and your conversion rates on the site. There's nothing worse than getting to a site and then just kind of throwing your hand. It's what you want, but you are so confused at where you need to go, and you just kind of eventually you just throw your hands up and go back and go to the next person that's ranking on Google because the experience was so poor. Provide a great experience, put some time and effort into making sure that it is essentially a red carpet experience for your clients from start to finish. Now, this next one, this is the one that is always the most controversial across over the years. It's not only SEO is dead. You also always hear backlinking strategies are dead, or that it's not important. And it's not that it has died, just like SEO hasn't died. It's just that it has evolved. What you did when Google was new, it was kind of like the Wild West. You could get away with almost anything. And even though that wasn't the best way to go about doing it, there were companies and there were ways to do this that really brought no long-term value, but it would help you rank, it could help you rank higher. You cannot do it. There's zero room for that anymore. There was little room for it to begin with before, even less now. And the reason that it's still important, though, is say you have two sites. You have two HVAC companies. They are in the same city, the same area. They offer very, very similar services. They have similar amounts of reviews, everything. Google still needs a way to differentiate which one to recommend above the other. And so they view these links back to your site, kind of like online votes for your business. And the more of them, as long as they are quality, will essentially increase your authority with the search engines. So you want to make sure that you are that any links you have are surrounded with good quality content, serve a purpose, and are helping questions. And then a couple strategies just to look forward to when it comes to link building are: make sure that the anchor text is correct and what word in your content is your anchor text for the link. And then link context. Make sure your link is relevant to the content around it. That is the best way to also drive new business, new traffic from having good content on other sites back to your site, almost as a referral. And then keep making sure that they're diverse. The search engines, they don't want to see the exact same thing over and over. They want to see a solid online diverse link profile coming from a number of other sites, a number of other businesses, directories, whether citations, branded, non-branded, surrounded by great content, links back to your site. And that's really how they'll determine who to rank one over the other when there are a lot of similarities. Because for most industries, there are a lot of similarities and you'll have direct competitors. Now we're coming to the end of our 10 high-level as things to consider and ways to succeed in building your SEO campaign. As you do these things, this is the 10th one. What you're going to get is you're going to need to have a focus on business reviews. You're moving in the right direction. You've started to implement this successful strategy. You're getting more traffic. You're making more sales. You're succeeding. Reviews. You absolutely need them. You need them coming to the site. More and more people are reading reviews before they move forward with a company. So better reviews will help your ranking. The 4.8 or higher is typically what studies have shown most people look for. There's a little bit of leeway there from a 5 out of 5 because we understand that there are outlier cases, but 4.8 or higher is what you want to strive for. And obviously, the more the better. A few bad ones can actually add some credibility as long as they're not outweighing the good ones. But if you have a 4.8 and you have some bad 1-star reviews in there, from a buyer's perspective, that can be a good thing because it adds legitimacy and credibility to your business that maybe wouldn't be there if you didn't have those. There some thoughts might creep up in there where they wonder if they're real or if it's too good to be true. So you always want to strive to provide the best service, but don't be discouraged if you do have a couple of these bad reviews. Focus on getting just more good reviews to outweigh those because it can be a good thing if you have enough of them. And then, it's just the frequency. Always be asking. Every client interaction should include some sort of follow-up for whether it's reaching out to past clients or reaching out to current clients. You always want to be asking because there's no other way to get them. You've got to be asking, and then you'll come to a point where you realize you need more, and it takes some time to build up those reviews. So that wraps up our 10 steps to succeed for SEO. We do have a second poll question here, and that question is: what are you hoping SEO can do for your business? Improve your website traffic, stronger presence on Google, drive more sales through your website, or other? We'll give you a moment to answer these questions here.
Hopefully you see those coming through on your side, Matt. I'm seeing, there they go, if you refresh that. So I'm seeing 43% looking to improve their traffic.
Okay. Mine, it looks
Close
like...
behind.
Oh.
Yep, can you see them now?
I can. Not yet. Looks like it's still
waiting for you.
Yeah.
So
well, if you just want to read the results, I'm also good with that. Still just oh, there we go. Just updated.
There we go.
Awesome. So we've got 34% wanting to improve your website traffic. We've got 30% wanting to just build an overall stronger online presence. 31% drive more sales through the website, and a 6% other. That's in. I'd be interested to know what the other 6% is, because it does look like 95% of us are looking to drive more traffic, stronger presence, or drive more sales. So probably more meaningful traffic. Okay, here. So we did want to open it up. Are there for some questions? Are there any questions that you guys had while we went through that? I'm happy to go more in depth. Heather, if there's anything else that you need to add as well, by all means, feel free to step in.
No, you did a great job. I will tell you, there are a ton of questions. There are so many questions. We are not going to be able to get to them all. I'm going to start by answering the most asked question. You will absolutely receive this recording later today. So watch your inbox. You will get the recording. You will have the slides. You will have the handouts. We'll send it all your way. So if you didn't catch the beginning, if some part of it fuzzed out for you, you can catch up on all of it. So with that being said, Matt, let's get to this so we can get through some of these. All right. So let's see. I know the answer is, it depends on the industry and all of that. But one of the questions we have is, how long does SEO take?
Oh, that's a good question. You'll see some places that are just way off. Not as much anymore, but SEO is something that takes time. You should never go into SEO with the expectation that you're going to have the instantaneous results that come along with any type of paid media, whether like PPC. But it is a long-term solution for the long-term problem that is ranking online. We always set the expectation that you can start to see improvement in your rankings out of months 3, 4, 5, 6, around that time. You'll see your rankings grow up. For some people, that is moving from page 100 to page 200, or excuse me, that would take you backwards from page 100 to page 10. There's some you're moving from page 10 to page 5, page 5 to page 2. But realistically, where you're looking to start to reach that first page for keywords based on your starting point is kind of that 6 to 9 month time frame. And that's really where it starts to get good, though. The way you should view SEO is like compounding interest. The more of it you do, the longer you do it for, the better it gets. It's a huge mistake to do it for 6 months, 9 months, reach the first page for a valuable keyword, and then think that, you know what, I'm actually good. Maybe I should scale back. Maybe I don't need to do that extra blog post. I don't need to do that additional article outreach. But in reality, SEO is something you should always be doing. Expect 6 to 9 months to start to see results. And then from there is where it really gets better and better.
Great. Okay, so a question from, and you know what, I've seen this in a couple different ways. So let's just start here. So we have some audiences that are or some viewers who seem to be an international audience, but they're curious about, there's also that local piece to it. So is there a good way that they can optimize on an international scale, but still bring it down when they need that local ranking?
Yeah, there absolutely is. Otherwise, you wouldn't see businesses that offer online sales nationally, as well as having physical brick and mortar locations. The approach to take, though, is it's almost in your mind having kind of two separate campaigns. You have one goal, but you need to set individual goals from a local standpoint as well as a national or an international. International gets a little bit trickier, but from a local and national standpoint, you want to make sure that all of your local maps, optimization is all taken care of. Make sure information is the same across the board. Make sure there's just no confusion whatsoever as far as where your actual location is. And you'll need to provide content for both. You need to provide content on from a local level as to why you are the best solution in the area. And if you have multiple locations, having that set up under multiple locations and really driving value for each one of those, as well as building the value in individual products that you offer and sell on a national scale. So it gets a little bit trickier when that's the approach that you are taking, but you really want to there's different types of work and amounts of work. If you're not ranking locally, though, that's always my recommendation is if you're faced with both and you have a pool of business that you can gain locally and you do have a local physical location, start there. Start to become an authority in your immediate area and then build out from there, because you'll be able to use that local trust and authority and relevance that you've built up. You'll be able to lean on the gaining reviews as well, and then start to focus on a lot of the technical aspects and content that is needed to rank on a national scale, depending on whether you're more niche or a very competitive industry.
That's a good explanation. Yeah, we had a few questions on that. So let's talk budget for a minute, because it's kind of easy to forecast like a paid budget and you get all the tools to go with that. But like, what about an SEO budget?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, because you can do SEO at almost any budget, but it depends on the scale that you're going after. Like a local plumber would never have the same budget as like Home Depot or a large big box office company. So you need to kind of identify what your scope is. The way that I view it is you take a look at your geographical location and then and how competitive that is, as well as the competitiveness of your market, and taking those things into account. It's really what are you paying for the work? And you'll see campaigns range anywhere from $500-$600 for a local SEO campaign to several thousands, depending on how competitive it is. For local, you're typically looking in probably the 500 to 3,000 range, depending on where you're at to get for kind of less competitive to moderately competitive, and several thousands for most nationally competitive companies. But you can do SEO for lower price points. My recommendation is if you are looking to get a quote, if you're looking to find a solution, we'll have some contact information at the end. We'll happily have one of our SEO specialists and strategists take a look at your current situation and make a recommendation on what's going to help you see the most success based on where you're currently at and how conservative or aggressive you are wanting to start, so that it's in line with your goals.
Okay. So Jenny asked, in your experience, does the star rating impact the map pack?
In my experience, yes, it does have from what I've seen, it does have an impact on if you are not so much the star rating, but the number of reviews. If you have one single 5-star review, considering everything else is the same, considering you're in all the same directories, you have all the same business citations, you have both fully completed your GMB, that is from there you will that's when they can start to play an impact, similar to how links play an impact for similar sites on Google. They can play a role there, and even more so though in your ranking, because a lot of that is just how close you are to the person that is doing a Google search. What's even more important is the impact that those reviews actually have, though, on the searcher to, if someone sees someone with 4.8 as their rating, they have 400 reviews, and then they see someone else 5 stars, but it's 3 reviews, that 4.8 stars, even though it is a slightly lower rating, is more likely to get that click from a searcher. Searchers have gotten exponentially not just smarter, but willing to go an extra mile to make sure they're getting the absolute right solution. So I would say it has some impact, but the real impact is when they're deciding who to click on.
Yeah, and Jenny just put in there, it's been her experience too, rating and number, add best or other qualifier, and the star rating matters even more.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I've had a couple questions on this too. So, let's talk about what are some of the easiest or best ways that they can make a site mobile friendly?
I think it can vary from platform to platform and site builder. My recommendation there would be to, if you have more specific questions and you have a site that you are wanting to make mobile friendly, there are some tools that you can see if it's mobile friendly or not. As far as taking those next steps, reach out to us after this, and we can set up a call to go a little bit more in depth around that question.
Okay. So as you were talking through the content section, I saw, again, several of these questions kind of pop up. So internal debate, what's the minimum word count? Is it the 300 minimum, or, could we go lower than that? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I don't really recommend going lower than 300. I mean, you're going to see more successes. I mean, even 500,000 at this point. We're at a point now where, as long as there's still value in providing a longer piece of content. And you have to think about what the purpose of that content that you're creating is on that page. But it's almost always, without going to the point of an entire novel, I mean, you want to be above that. You don't really want to be below that 300 ever, and really 500,000 plus, depending on what you are trying to accomplish. I think that's one thing. So I don't like to focus too much on word counts. There's a way to think of, okay, because then you're not solving the solution. If you're thinking about word counts, what you're really thinking about is, all right, this is a means to an end. I'm doing this to help my SEO rankings. And a lot of times what that results in, it results in not providing the best piece of content possible for your searchers. And even if it may help you rank, if that page is ranking, they're not going to see value in it, and that can turn someone off. So I would always go into it with the approach of, how can I make this as valuable as possible, as real as possible, as if I was having a conversation or explaining this to a potential client, or explaining this to someone that's interested, and answering their question for them. If you take that approach, I can get long-winded and I can go on for a long time, but what I've found is you will almost always be well over that word count if that's the approach you're taking. So, and if you're taking that approach, like, I'm just trying to get this 300 words in for the sake of this on-site blog, what you're going to run into is you're probably going to have an even hard time reaching 300 words, because you're not in it and you're not doing it necessarily for the right reasons. But if you're trying to help, you'll almost always be able to clear that, and I think you'll see better results from it.
Great. So I think we got time for maybe one or two more questions, Matt. So Ashley asks, should we be worried about the quality of backlinks from the site if they have more external links versus internal links to their domain? So, as we went through that link building section, there were a few questions around there. So, kind of what's the best way to do that, to research the sites that you're looking to put links on?
So I think it goes back. there's some similarities to the most recent, to the last question, evolving around content, which is you do want to think about where this link is going to be. Is it relevant? Is it surrounded by relevant content? You don't want to go to the same site over and over again and have that be what's linking back to you. You don't necessarily just want to do like link sharings. Not if you're sharing a link to them, they're sharing it back to you. That's not going to do a whole lot at this point. But I would just focus on where can you post a link or post content that will, speaking around articles or offsite blogs, things like this, valuable content. Think about where you could post that it will drive value, and then reach out. A lot of companies you can reach out to and ask them if you can post on their site, because there's real value that they can gain and real value that you can gain, because it's not just a number of links game. We have an e-commerce client as an example that if you do a search for their keywords, their major competitors are Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy, Target. These are the big players that are ranking at the top, and then obviously the manufacturer of their service, because they sell direct as well, and they're able to outrank these giant companies on both the first and the second spot of the search engines by having the right links in the right places and making them valuable, and then having that lead to other natural links. Because there's a lot of circumstances where you're never going to have more links. So focus on the best link and the right types. And if that's the approach you're taking, there's not necessarily a ratio to exactness that you'll need to worry about staying around.
Okay. So we get time for one more. So Matt, how does Manta measure success with SEO?
Yeah, the way that Manta measures success for any of our services, and especially specifically SEO, is are we helping you grow your business? Is the work that we're doing having a real impact on your site and on your business that you can feel? The main goal that everyone has, and the only reason anyone does SEO or really any marketing in general, is typically because the hope is that leads to an increase in rankings, that then leads to an increase in traffic, and then leads to additional sales and revenue. So that's really our main focus at the end of it. But since SEO does take time, we have different benchmarks, different things we'll look at in terms of, all right, the work that is being completed, as well as is the work that we're doing, is it having an impact? Are you seeing those increases? And are we working towards our real goal that measures success, which is, are you feeling success on your end as well?
Well, with that, Matt, I think we've about reached the end of the time. I mean, there's so many questions. So please know that we're going to get all of your questions over to the Manta team to answer these, and they'll get back to you all, via email on that. So Matt, with that, tell the people where to find you.
Yeah, I think we've got a slide in here. At least I hope we do. Oh, there we go. Okay, so right here. Okay, so you can reach out to me, obviously, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to the sales@manta.com email. That'll come directly to me, and we can have someone on our team reach out to you. You can also give us a call at 888-260-4034, or go to our website, manta.com. And if you fill out a free consultation or an analysis form, we'll either reach out to you, or you can self-book a demo time for us to have a conversation.
Awesome. But in the meantime, all the questions that we do have from everybody will get sent to the team, so you don't have to necessarily follow up with that question that you asked today. We'll get that to them. But Matt, thank you so much for being here with us today. Lots of great information. So I think you're going to be busy over the next few days.
It would appear so by the never-ending questions that I'm seeing here. So thank you everyone for coming. Heather, thanks for having me. This was great, and yeah, it's been a good time.
Yeah, same. And I want to thank everybody out there who joined us today because that was some great conversation in the chat. We had people answering other people's questions and filling in. So that was awesome. Love it, guys. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.
Hey,
Bye.
thanks everyone.